Greetings, salutations, and welcome to SportsLook, the sports television program for the high plains of West Texas and eastern New Mexico. I'm your host, Doc Elder, and on this Valentine's Day 2019, I'm definitely feeling the love for basketball, that is. And accordingly, I've got Josh Prock from Greyhound Women's Basketball, Trey Segler from Greyhound Men's Basketball. We'll have a high school spotlight courtesy of Brandon and Ryan. I'll finish up with an overtime, but as always, I'll start out with an Eastern recap. Greyhound baseball got their season started with a weekend tournament in Dallas. 2 wins, 2 losses for Coach Gomez's squad. A record-setting performance at the Don Kirby Invitational in Albuquerque for the Greyhound women's track and field squad. They set it in the 4x400 relay. And speaking of record, a record-setting, astounding 29 hits for the Greyhound women's softball team on Monday against New Mexico Highlands. Not surprisingly, with 29 hits, they scored 28 runs and won by a score of 28-6. Well, that has been your Eastern recap, so we'll clear this out and we'll bring on our first guest, Josh Prock from Greyhound Women's Basketball, right now. Welcome back to SportsLook, and after a 2-week hiatus, we bring back to the set the head coach of Greyhound Women's Basketball, Josh Prock. And Coach, in those last 2 weeks, you've added 3 games to your win column.
We appreciate it, Doc. We've had a couple good weeks here. It's always challenging in the Lone Star Conference, but proud of our girls, how we've competed and able to, move ourselves back up in the standings.
You went to Cameron, and they gave you a great ball game, but you reached down deep inside and you managed to pull out a W.
Yeah, the season's a long season, and you're going to have your ups and downs, and you're going to have the moments where you've got to just find a way and claw away and get those wins. And, we were able to do that against Cameron and pull out that 1-point win, like you said. And then, unfortunately, we had to set back against Midwestern, but we still were able to claw back in that one, almost get that one too.
That, to me, in many ways, was the more impressive game because you were down like 18 points, and you cut it to 2, and you got a held ball with just a few seconds to go. If the arrow had been pointing your way, you had a chance to tie it up. Unfortunately, it was pointing the other way.
Yeah, that's sometimes, again, the way they say, the way the ball bounces. We didn't get the arrow pointing our way, but I was really proud of our girls, how we battled back. I mean, we struggled at the beginning of that game, and you could tell we had a few tired legs, but our girls responded very well. And, at the end of the game there, Zamry Cox hit a big shot to get us within that chance of potentially, being able to get the ball back to tie it up. But, I absolutely agree with you, Doc. It was probably more of the impressive of the two just because of the way we came back.
And then you had a couple of home games last week. You got a chance to play University of Texas Permian Basin, a team that is really problematic because of the style of ball they play, but you guys took care of business right from the word go.
Yeah, they play that 1-3-1 where they fly around and trap the corners, trap the wing, and you got to be able to handle their pressure. And I thought this is their coach's second year, so of all the 4 times we played them, I thought this past game we did as good a game as any as far as handling their pressure. We made our shots when we needed to, and we ended up pulling away and getting a really nice win on the Thursday.
And it was an interesting game. You had 4 ladies in double figures, 2 of them starters, Trey Clay and Zam Cox, but you also had 2 girls come off the bench that got you double digits.
Yeah, Talasho Key and Laura Rowe both came off, and they're 2 of our wing players, and both came in and shot the ball very well. I thought both of them had great energy as well, and that's one thing that we continue to emphasize is our bench. Continue to try to get more production because it's a long season, and you've got to have that production off the bench to be a successful team.
And then on Saturday, you played what is if there's a definition of trap game, it would be playing Western New Mexico.
Yeah, because you kind of look ahead of who you've got coming up and all the big games that we've got in front of us, and but you can't look past your in-state rivals. Western New Mexico, Coach Unger's done a tremendous job there, improved their program, and we knew we're in because their kids have a lot of pride. They got beat pretty good against WT, and we knew they would come back and fight and claw and try to figure out a way to be in the game. And, we were fortunate enough to be able to pull away and get a nice win in that one as well.
And I think one thing that actually worked to your advantage was the fact that you didn't have to wait until you saw Western in January to get an appreciation of their program. They actually came to our place for your tournament.
Yeah, early on in the year, we have what we call a conference challenge every year, and we'll have it for the next 3 years where it's us and Fort Lewis College and New Mexico Highlands and Western New Mexico. So we don't get to play Western New Mexico, but we do get to look at them early on, and we could tell that they were much improved, early on in the year.
And speaking of much improved at the beginning of the game, they got up to a pretty fast start, and you guys had to really clamp down. You didn't have your best game offensively, but defensively, you held them into the 40s.
Yeah, and if we can play defense like that, I mean, even if you're off, I mean, you think about it, how off we are in that game offensively, and you still beat them by 15. I mean, that's a testament to how well we played defensively, and we're going to need that kind of defensive effort as we move forward here.
Coach, we had our film crew out. They were getting us a highlight reel, so why don't we cue it up, and why don't you walk us through it, if you would, please?
Absolutely, thanks. Here, Talisha O'Kee getting the three-point shot off, and that's the one thing that really gets her game going. And she's one of our better three-point shooters here. Chelsea Hunter continues to be improving on her shot every game. We really would encourage her to catch and shoot. And Shelby Jones there with a great block, and then this is Trey just muscling her way to the basket. I mean, she's just a fierce force and tough kid, and again getting another and one there. Just almost become an unstoppable force. And there's, of course, Jenna. Jenna has a great touch offensively, makes a lot of good plays here. And, of course, they're catching and shooting. And that's one thing we've continued to encourage her to do, just to catch and shoot. On this next play here, Sydney Clark with a great step back. That's, a big part of her offensive game is that. And so did a great job here. And Trey just gets a great block here, and she really times up really well. And, it's kind of what we talked about earlier, a little bit of a violent block. But there's Talisha O'Kee again, getting a nice little jump shot. And, again, pushing the basket here and her getting the finish here. And I think we'll see her again here in just a minute out this baseline out of bounds play here, cutting here hard and getting a nice little basket. So I was really proud. I think there in that game as well, Doc, we talked about our bench a while ago. I think our bench played really well in this game, and I was proud of how we were able to get the win.
And Treyana Clay just continues to impress. I mean, I've seen some really, really good women's basketball players at Eastern New Mexico University. She could be having as good a year as I've ever seen anybody have.
Yeah, she's really tough to guard. It's like, really since the Kingsville game at Kingsville, last time around, she's really kind of found her three-point shot and really kind of expanded her game. And we kind of knew if that part of her game comes along, then it's going to be, I mean, how do you guard her? Because she can score for you on the post, she can take you off the dribble, she can hit from the outside shot. And on top of that, she's probably our best on-ball defender. And one of the best leaders we've had. So, you can ask all you want to out of these kids, and it's just amazing the more she continues to give. And, again, the best part about her is just what kind of kid she is off the court.
In some ways, she reminds me a lot of Michaela Connor, who, of course, played for you. I would describe Trey as being Michaela Connor with a little bit better outside shot.
Yeah, and, and she's also bigger. I mean, she's 2 inches bigger and weighs a little bit more, and just stronger overall, And so, I mean, that gives Trey. I mean, and again, I got to give my assistant coaches credit. Early on in the year, they suggested us move to more of a bigger lineup, move her to the three, and it's been it's all she wrote since then. It's been a great move for us.
Well, of course, this Saturday, 2 days hence, huge game. We're not hyping it. I mean, this is just a statement of fact. Angelo State coming to town. And it's going to be a special game because you're playing the team that's at the top of the conference, but it's also going to be Senior Day.
Yeah, it's Senior Day, and unfortunately we have to say goodbye to 3 seniors it's always a hard day for a coach. Shelby Jones, Deja Johnson, and unfortunately she had her season cut short, and but Treyana Clay, and it's going to be a tough day, but I know their teammates and everybody will be ready to play. And yeah, I mean, Angelo State's a team that we're chasing in the standings, and we have a chance to, gain some ground on them on Saturday.
What's the one thing you're going to have to do well against Angelo on Saturday?
Well, I thought last time we played them, we didn't hit our shots. We're going to have to be consistent and hit our open shots. And offensively, even though they do a good job of trying to take away the middle, we've got to do a very good job of trying to pound it inside, and then obviously do a better job on Marquita Daniels, which it's hard to do. I mean, she's one of the most explosive, fastest players that I've ever, coached against. And so it's going to be a team defensive effort. We're going to have to do a good job on her.
Going back to the seniors before we leave the subject, it occurs to me that it seems like just yesterday, but it was actually a couple of months ago, we did Media Day from right here in the studio, and you had the 3 seniors. If you had to say, if there was one thing that they all had in common, what's the one thing that all of those seniors possess?
They all have a tremendous, just kind of a outgoing personality. A personality that people get attracted to, that you want to be around. And those three young ladies are destined for nothing but success one day. And if you're thinking about the leadership and what you want from this team, it's hard to imagine three better ones than what we've had this year. And even since the time that unfortunately Deja went out, she's had tremendous leadership from the bench. And the other two have stepped up on the court, in her absence as far as providing leadership.
Well, Coach, congratulations. It's been a great season up to this point. I know that we're going to see you in Frisco, and let's hope that we win out.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we got an opportunity to win a regular season title here, and if we take care of business, we got to go one game at a time, and we'll see what happens.
All right, well, Coach, thanks for being my guest. And that will wrap up our first interview segment. So what we'll do is we'll clear the set and we'll queue up a high school spotlight segment courtesy of Brandon and Ryan right now.
Welcome back to High School Spotlight. I'm Ryan Schrader.
And I'm Brennan Warren.
We did not plan to match this week, but it happens. Anyways, last week we traveled over to Elida to catch the matchup between the Elida Tigers and the Floyd Broncos.
Make sure you fluff the edge of your couch and get out some popcorn because this one was a barn burner, guys, and you're going to be on the edge of your seats the whole time.
Let's get to the highlights. Here are the Elida Tigers entering the gym with thoughts of a W on their mind.
And over here we have the Floyd Broncos going through the layup line looking sharp.
Here we're going to see Tice Delk bringing it down for the Tigers. He gets it over to Bailey Oder, who immediately gets it underneath to Chris Diaz for the bucket. Here, Tegan Delk gets the pass and drives it in. He kicks it out to Colton Ferguson. He'll try the driving kick, and he gets it out to Tice Delk wide open for the three ball. Here's Weston White Cotton at midcourt for Floyd. He gives a little stutter step and drives it in for the basket in traffic.
Tegan Burton gets the ball behind the arc, jacks the three, misses, bounces around a little bit before being saved by Will Haley, who gets it to Bailey Oder and hits the open shot from the corner. This makes the score 32-20 at halftime.
Juan Delgado for the Broncos tries to find an open lane, but he can't. He pops it over to White Cotton, who sidesteps his defender and puts the floater up from the elbow and hits it.
Patrick Terry dribbling around outside the arc, penetrates a little and finds Eric Terry in the corner, and he hits the three once again.
Here we see Ferguson attempting a drive inside, but he gets stolen by Delgado. Delgado sees the time and decides to take it himself, coast to coast, putting the shot in with just 6 seconds left in the third. This brings Elida's lead down to just 5 to start the fourth quarter.
Weston White Cotton, heading up the court with a full head of steam, has one defender to beat and gets into the lane and finishes the layup plus the foul. He hits the free throw to tie the game up at 50.
We may have an issue here, Brandon. We have White Cotton here again for the Broncos, bringing it down and into the lane. He puts up the floater in the face of 2 defenders and then heads down the other way to get on defense. This should be 52-50, but it looks like an error on the part of the scoreboard operator.
John McDonald hits the free throw here to put Floyd up by 1 with a minute left in regulation.
On the other end, we see Tegan Burton with the ball at the free throw line and a shot to change this outcome. He'll put it up and in.
Again, we have White Cotton heading up the court quickly. His teammate gets away with the moving screen, but he gets in the lane and draws the foul.
Here we see Tice Delk making a critical free throw in the fourth quarter and showing some emotion as he puts it through and ties it up.
The Broncos getting pressed here, but White Cotton gets open and does what he does best, heading down court, evading defenders, and gets into the lane with very little traffic, but misses the layup. Darrow Rascone comes down with the rebound and gets fouled. The score is all tied up with 4 seconds left in the game, but Rascone misses both free throws.
Here we see the Broncos lining up in an empty backfield. 4 seconds on the clock, 3 receivers to the right and 1 to the left. Patrick Terry's inbound pass down court gets intercepted by Tice Delk and put up, but it's no good as time expires. We're off to overtime.
To start off OT, Tice Delk is bringing the ball down court, splits the defense, and makes a nice bounce pass to Chris Diaz, who again puts in the layup.
Here are the Tigers once again. Delk has it on the left wing. He brings it into the paint and puts another shot up and in.
White Cotton at the top of the key, penetrates, kicks out, the ball gets swung to the corner, and Patrick Terry hits the 3-ball in the clutch.
Eric Terry attempts the full court shot as time expires, but he won't make it. Elida's going to take this one, 63-57. All right, let's get to the rankings. In 1A girls, Logan leads the pack at 19-4, with Pine Hill and Melrose following right behind at their heels.
In 2A, Texaco girls are number 1 with an overall record of 18-3, followed by Clayton at 12-8 and Dulce at 14-6.
In 3A, Robertson leads the pack at 21-1, followed by Santa Fe Indian at 19-3 and Tucumcari at 17-4.
In 4A, rounding up the top 5 is Gallup, Pewaukee, and Highlands.
And finally, in the 5A girls, Hobbs leads the pack with a record of 22-1, followed by West Mesa and Piedra Vista.
Moving on to the boys' rankings, Cumado is out front with the 22-1 overall record, followed by Fort Sumner and Logan.
In 2A, we got 3 teams from the same district topping the bracket. Pecos is at number 1, Texaco at 2, and Santa Rosa at 3.
For 3A, we have Sandia Prep at the 2 spot, Hot Springs at the 3, and Santa Fe Indian School at the 4.
In 4A, Los Lunas leads it with a record of 19-3, followed by Hope and Gallup.
In 5A, Volcano Vista at number 1, followed by Las Cruces at a perfect 23-0, and Cleveland High at 19-4.
Thanks for watching High School Spotlight.
Before we send you back to Doc, make sure you like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more photos, highlights, and updates.
Once again, I'm Ryan Schrader.
And I'm Brendan Warren.
We'll see you next week.
Welcome back to SportsLook. Thanks to Brandon and Ryan for that high school spotlight segment. And now we bring to the set Trey Segler, the head coach of Greyhound men's basketball. And coach, in the last 2 weeks, you guys have played some seriously good basketball.
Thank you, Doc. I appreciate that. I'm really proud of the guys. And, I think we're getting to that point in the season where some of the hard work is starting to pay off a little bit. Obviously, still a lot left to go, and we still a lot of goals left to accomplish. But, I told our guys about a month ago that the teams that continue to evolve for this last half of the season they're going to be the ones that win, and I think we've done that, and I'm very proud of their hard work because it has been. It's been a lot of hard work.
Of course, last week you had the 2 home games against University of Texas Permian Basin and Western. Both of those victories. You played the road games against Cameron and Midwestern State, and except for the last 7 minutes of the Cameron game, you guys played about as well on the road as I've seen a Greyhound team play in a long time.
That was you have to give credit to Coach Brown and Cameron. Those players played, over the top hard. Again, I always want our basketball team to be characterized by toughness and effort, and I thought Cameron's ball club in those final 7 minutes were characterized by that and a little more, obviously. And so you can't take that away from it. But again, I didn't think we played our best in that moment. We probably helped them a little bit to make that easier on them for the win. And so, but yes, sir, the Midwestern game was a big moment for us. Always a big for me to go back to where I was from and to play well. And those guys did that. And I think they know the moment a little bit, so to speak, and they know what it means to me and obviously to Coach Shaw as well now being from Midwestern. And so anytime those guys can kind of bring a little bit more out of their heart for us is a cool thing to see. But yes, sir, yeah, then the home stand has been great. That game against Permian, and I told you on the radio show, I didn't feel like we threw any punches at their place. I felt like we kind of came out soft and a little bit timid, and so I think they got to see the real Eastern at the game we played at home. And but too, Doc, from watching so much basketball, we played very fundamentally sound against that zone that they run, and so I was proud that was a mental leap that we made as much as it was a physical one, and so pretty fun to watch.
And against Western New Mexico, a team that, their whole season, if they can beat you, their season is made.
For sure.
And they've really played tough. You guys were up almost 30 points on Western.
Yes, sir. And Coach Enriquez is doing a great job over there. They hit a rough spell where, again, I think they've been in every single basketball game they played. And again, my first year, we had some of that go on where, we just couldn't, that last little hump to get over, you couldn't get it done. And so I think he's feeling some of that, and they'll be back. First of all, they're still dangerous for the rest of the year. They still can beat some people, and they still can sneak up on people because they're so tough. But yes, sir, you're right. At their place, it was more of a game than I want it to be, and I think we wanted to make it very clear early that we were going to be the aggressive team, and I think our guys did that. And, forgive me for saying this, Doc, but, when you play across a season, guys like, Garrett Sherrod, Tanner Carter, Mengistu Joncourt, like guys that don't typically play as many minutes, when you go into a game like that, you want to play well, not to upstage other team or to be any kind of arrogant, but you want to get those guys on the bench in the game. They work hard every day and they deserve some time on the floor. And so I think our starters had that in mind. I'm proud of them for that.
Well, Coach, we had our crew out there filming highlights, and we've got a highlight reel, so let's cue it up and please walk us through it.
Yes, sir. We start off right here with Isaiah. Unbelievable look to Chew. Again, the unselfishness of our team right now is one of my favorite things about it. Zach Parker has gotten out early and got some steals and some runouts, created some early offense, and I appreciate his efforts there. I mean, Chew, man, offensive player of the week, but he also had 5 or 6 blocks, you know. But Zach Parker's shooting it great right now. The tape on his hand, man, he dislocated his thumb in a practice about a week ago, and he didn't even flinch, man. He's just been great. Chew with his dunks has been unbelievable. We wanted to say that Geese meant to do that, but we don't know if he did or not. Darius Carter obviously having a great season so far, being tough. And just Mo Coleman, those 2 guys right there, both from New Mexico Military Academy. They're just tough guys, man. Mo had a great game. That play was an out-of-bounds play where he really attacked the rim hard, gave us a good early lead. This one of our sideline out-of-bounds plays, and Isaiah to go opposite foot, opposite hand finish is really special. Good ball movement here by Devin Pullum. Again, Zach comes through and he's starting to shoot it at a really high clip, and that's what we have to have from him. You see Devin in transition. He's a spark plug, and we talked about earlier, Doc, he just plays with a fire that's kind of different, way bigger than his size, so to speak. But really proud of what he's doing for us. He's got a huge, bright future here in Greyhound Arena. What a great pass by Mo. I mean, Mo could have shot that shot, but he's unselfish, and he adds to choose, big offensive night. Great separation here by Devin going left and big 3. Awesome block. Feel like he's playing tetherball right there. But it's just, it's so fun. I mean, Devin rewards him with a dunk on the other end. It's just awesome, man, how hard he plays for our program. He does not care about his own accolades. He was excited about the award, but he doesn't care. He cares about our name first. And, even Dean Kawani got in on the outside shooting action, and I'm proud of him for working. He's had some offensive struggles, but he's a very powerful player. And you're going to see a lot of bright future from him as well. He's just coming into his own flow. And at 6'8", being able to shoot from the perimeter, you just can't ask for more than that.
I was really impressed. I had a chance to talk to Chew, and I asked him, just between the 2 of us, what do you hope people remember about you after your one season? And he said, I want people to say that was the most wins that the Greyhound basketball team had in years. And it's like, what an unselfish kid.
You just, again, kind of almost makes me tear up emotional. Chew, I say all the time, Chew's secret weapon isn't his talent or his size or his athleticism. His joy is his secret weapon. And I felt like earlier in his career, he played a lot of basketball without joy, had some down seasons, played for some coaches that he didn't connect with. And that's really what I wanted to offer him more than anything of Portales. I wanted him to enjoy the game of basketball again. I think you're starting to see that. And to me as a coach, just again, between me and him, that's a man-to-man thing that I'm really proud of him for. He's showing joy and he's having more fun. And anytime we can enjoy what we do, I think the true heart comes out, and it's more fun to see. And I think the crowd can see that.
In terms of the young men that you brought in, because you had a pretty good nucleus of returners,
yes, sir.
In terms of the young men, who has come the farthest? Who has by far exceeded your expectations?
Man, I'll go 2 different guys in 2 different ways. The first one, Zach Parker. Zach Parker was a prolific scorer in JUCO in Mississippi, but he was so much better than the competition around him that he could kind of just go out there every night and just show up and play and score. Zach has grown defensively. He's grown in maturity. He has a vocal voice on our team now at a different place of leadership, and I've just seen him grow as a man. I've had to speak to Zach sternly a lot of times, and the way he learns lessons is by sometimes getting yelled at, kind of hard-headed a little bit like I am too. And so his respect he's paid to me and the growth has been exponential. Another guy that I've seen grow just a tremendous amount is just, he's one of our favorites, is just Arkeem Laylamon, I mean, Arkeem was under the knife 2 months ago. And, he had knee surgery, and you can't tell. And he's a guy that his numbers aren't what he probably had envisioned them being his senior season, and he really has no ego about that. Again, just like Chiomili, he just wants to win games. He wants to leave this season being the best it could ever be. And so those guys' growth is different, but it's also same, in a lot of ways too. And so, but again, both the core of their hearts is just them being good men to start out, and I'm thankful for that growth for sure.
Speaking of those two young men, it's going to be a good day, but it's going to be a sad day on
Sad day.
Saturday. It's senior day, and we're saying goodbye to some really, really not just good basketball players, but good young men.
Yes, sir. And I, a lot of their performances speak for themselves. Obviously, I think they've built another layer of bricks on top of the wall around our. We're doing all those things that we said that they would do when they came here. But again, very strictly personally between us and those 5 gentlemen, like it's going to be hard for me. It's going to be a hard day for me. I'm gonna try to be tough, but I'm an emotional guy, and I wear my emotions on my sleeve, and so that's going to be a hard moment for me to hug them for the last time under the Greyhound Arena lights. But I think with all moments like that come moment of possibility and moments of positivity, and I think what they're going to see is that their time here was well spent and worth it. I think none of those guys regret their decision to come be a Greyhound. I think they'll be Greyhounds for life. And they've done a lot to create the culture that we want here at Eastern New Mexico University. And obviously, Doc, because you've been here across the course of years, that's what's special. And so I couldn't be more thankful for those men for that.
Coach, congratulations on a great season to this point, and
Yes,
I know that I will be seeing you in Frisco, Texas.
Let's keep going, Doc. Let's keep going. Amen. Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, well, that is going to wrap up the interview segment of SportsLook. So what we'll do is we'll clear the set, and I'll finish up with an overtime right now. For this Valentine's Day episode, I was thinking to myself, what was the best husband-wife duo ever in sports history? I was going to go with Ray Knight, the third baseman from the New York Mets World Championship team from 1986, and his wife, Nancy Lopez, the famous golfer from just down the road in Roswell. But I thought about it, and no, I really have to give that honor to the power tennis couple of Steffi Graf and Andre Agassi for 3 reasons. First of all, Knight and Lopez got divorced, but Agassi and Graf got married in '92. They're still going strong. Secondly, while Nancy Lopez is a Hall of Famer, her husband wasn't, and both Andre Agassi and Steffi Graf are in the Tennis Hall of Fame. But more importantly, when you think about it, in the game of tennis, every game starts with a score of love, love. Pretty appropriate. Well, that is going to wrap up an overtime, and that will wrap up an episode of SportsLook. I'd like to thank my guests, Josh Prock and Trace Segler. I would like to thank Brandon and Ryan for the high school spotlight. Had Mr. Alex running the floor crew for me tonight. So for all those aforementioned people, this is Doc Elder saying, so long.